Hi guys, it's been a while since I last filmed a YouTube video. It's just that I tested positive for COVID like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then that took time with the recovery. Then I traveled after, so it's been kind of a hassle. Anyways, it's all good now, and here's the video I promised everyone on PTSD. It was actually a research on war affected populations that was done, and it found that genocide exposure primarily predicts PTSD. What's happening has traumatized a huge amount of us, and many people experience different reactions after trauma, and most recover from these reactions or symptoms over time. And then there are others who continue to experience symptoms and are usually diagnosed with PTSD. So, PTSD can be developed at any age, and it starts when someone experiences or witnesses something really frightening like abuse or terror attacks, a disaster, sexual assault, or other very serious and frightening event. So people with PTSD will continue to feel stressed or frightened even when the danger is over. And having PTSD doesn't even require you to be in the event yourself. So simply witnessing it or observing it, or even hearing a loved one talk about how they went through a traumatic event is sufficient to cause PTSD. So what's happening is causing a collective trauma, and we're all suffering, whether it's young or old. And we all share this around the globe. And this means that a process of healing and recovery after the trauma ends is necessary. And healing needs to start now, before the trauma turns into a PTSD. And the first thing that we all need is support groups or safe spaces and communities where we can talk and acknowledge and share the pain and trauma of what's happening around the world. We need to talk this out and we need to cry it out, and we need to acknowledge and we need to hold space for this fear and for the sadness and all emotions that we're experiencing in order for us to be able to overcome them. People experience different reactions after trauma, and most recover from these reactions or symptoms over time. And within 3 months of hearing or experiencing or witnessing the traumatic event, symptoms begin. And sometimes symptoms can even kick in way later, but usually it's within 3 months. And to meet the PTSD criteria, a person must have symptoms for over a month, and the symptoms must be severe enough to interfere with aspects of their daily life, such as relationships or work. But only a psychiatrist, a psychologist, or a professional in mental health can determine whether symptoms meet the criteria of PTSD or whether they don't. Having PTSD is very socially isolating because it's quite difficult to feel positive emotions such as happiness or satisfaction, and you're feeling tense. And also, when it comes to work or studying, you experience difficulty concentrating, difficulty sleeping, or even difficulty staying asleep after you've slept. And you're always so aggressive and you have these destructive behaviors. So it's very mood altering. Could also be feeling irritable or angry or becoming aggressive towards others. So when you guys continue to affirm to yourselves that you're going through PTSD without even being diagnosed, this is actually one of the ways that PTSD could manifest into your lives. So please, guys, stop affirming and stop self diagnosing and saying to yourself that you have PTSD, because I can assure you that you probably don't. And with these affirmations and ongoing repetition to your subconscious mind, you are most probably going to. So I just wanted to stress on that for a bit. And we all need to prioritize our mental well being and find what brings us safety and makes us feel safe. And second of all, we need to talk about what's happening and also talk about our feelings regarding what's happening. Thirdly, we need to change the narrative in our heads as to how moving forward, what we've experienced is going to have an effect on our lives on a larger scale. So basically, we need to start looking for the lessons that this came to teach us as a collective. And reflecting on this and learning the lessons means that moving forward, this can be a positive learning experience if we choose to learn from it. So forgiveness is also necessary, but it's also at the end of the healing journey. But let's address the post-traumatic stress that many of us may be experiencing as we watch this tragedy unfold from afar. PTSD is a real disorder that develops when a person has experienced or witnessed a shocking, terrifying, or dangerous event, like I said. And the stressful or traumatic event usually involves a situation where someone's life is being threatened or where severe injury has occurred. And after the trauma, naturally you're in shock and you have painful memories and you become upset by anything that reminds you of the trauma. And symptoms will usually appear soon after the trauma. For most people, the symptoms go away on their own within the first few weeks and months after the trauma. And for some, symptoms can last for many years, especially if they go untreated. So it's completely normal to feel sad, angry, or even helpless. And post traumatic stress disorder can actually disrupt your whole life, your job, your relationships, your health, your enjoyment of everyday activities, and PTSD can actually increase your risk of other mental health problems like depression and anxiety. One of the main types of difficulties when having PTSD is reliving the traumatic event through unwanted and recurring memories and flashbacks, or even having vivid nightmares. And, and what we're actually experiencing today as a collective is re-seeing and reliving the trauma over and over again because it's simply not stopping. So, unfortunately, we haven't been able to put an end to the genocide and to the mass killings and ethnic cleansing. And because it's ongoing, it means that we're all reliving and re experiencing the trauma every single day. And our bodies are reacting to the distressing images and stories that we're seeing on a daily basis. But I just want you to remember that stress is our body's way of telling us that something needs to change. It's a signal for us to take action. And I know it may seem like boycotting or raising awareness won't make a big impact, but every little bit counts. And by supporting organizations that provide aid or by boycotting companies that contribute to the violence, we're standing up against the injustice. It may not solve everything overnight, but these types of actions have a very positive impact in the long run. And individually, for us as individuals, it'll make us feel better knowing we took action within what was in our control. We're all responsible for making changes and taking action which is within our reach. That alone can help us sleep better at night and will reduce the amount of stress we're feeling. And if every human being were to do that, then eventually this genocide is going to end.